Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Good Shabbos.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.
It is a pleasant evening here in Huntington. Today was a very, very, very nice day, considering some of the weather we've had this week. The sun was out. It was rather chilly, brisk, I would call it, brisk, but not much of a wind, so it didn't really didn't feel as cold as it probably was. And just been a quiet kind of week, a lot to reflect on what happened last Shabbat in Texas, and that kept a lot of us busy thinking about and talking about across the world. So it is Kabbalat Shabbat. It is time to put the work week behind us, the past week, let it all go. And Suzanne, you want to light the bench licht for us on page 2 or 3? Maybe I don't want to trip over the owl.
Mess that up.
Mm-hmm.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light.
Yeah, first try last week. Let's see if it keeps going. Would you pull back or push forward on that top button?
Push forward on the top button. You did it first time.
Push forward. Push it all the way forward, hard. There you go.
I'm gonna go home and practice.
We'll get you one. For Hanukkah, you'll get
There you go. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you. All right, let's turn to page 6. Page 6, and we'll read responsively in English. May the door of the synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship.
May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture.
May the door of the synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity.
May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet.
May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness.
May the synagogue be for all who enter the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life.
All right, we'll jump ahead to a song that comes to us from the mystical city of Sfat in Galil in the north of Israel, top of page 20, Lecha Dodi. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nikabela. Shamor b'zachor b'dibor echad, Yishmi'anu el hamyuchad, Adonai echad u'shmaho echad, L'shem tiferet v'litila, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nikabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, Ki mekor ha'bracha, Merosh mikedem nehesucha, Sof ma'aseh b'machshava tchila, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nikabela. Mikdash melech yemelucha, Kumitzei mitoch ha'pecha, Rav lahak shevet v'yemecha b'cha, V'hu yachamol alai chemla, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nikabela. Ignari me'afar kumi, Lifshi bigdei tifartei chami, Al yad ben ishe beit lachmi, Korba el nafshi ge'ala, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, P'nei Shabbat Nekabela. Hitorari, Ki ba'orek kumi uri, shir daberi, K'vod Adonai alayik nigla, Lecha dodi likrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nekabela, Lo tevoshi velo tikolmi, Mahatish tochachi umatemi, Bachyechesu aniye ami, V'nivneta ir altila, Lecha dodi lihikrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nekabela, V'hayu l'shimsa shovosayich, V'rahachaku kol mevalayich, Yasis alayich Elohayich, Ki himsos hatan halakala, Lecha dodi likrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nekabela, Yamin usmol tivotzi, V'et Adonai ta'aritzi, Al yadish ben partzi, V'nihi smecha v'nagila, Lecha dodi likrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nekabela, Boi v'shalom ateret bala, Gaham b'simcha ufsola, Toch emunei yam segula, Boi chala, Dodi likrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nekabela. Let's turn to page 22 for a selection from the Psalm for Shabbat, Psalm 92. We'll read the top paragraph in English and then go to the indented paragraph in Hebrew. A song for Shabbat. It is good to praise Adonai, to sing hymns to your name, O Most High, to proclaim your steadfast love at daybreak, your faithfulness each night, with a 10-stringed harp, with voice and lyre together. You have gladdened me by your deeds, Adonai. I shout for joy at your handiwork. How great are your works, Adonai, how very subtle your designs. A brute cannot know, a fool cannot understand this. Tzadika tamar yifrach, Kerez balvanon yiskeh, shetulim bebeit Adonai, bechatzrot Eloheinu, Yafrichu, O Jenuvu Meseva, Deshenim Vera'ananim, Yiyu Lehagid, Ki Ashar Adonai, Suri Elohav Laktavo. Page 24, Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hashari, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech malachei amlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Tzeivchem l'shalom malachei hashalom malachei elyon. Mi melech malachei amlachim hakadosh baruch hu. We'll conclude Kabbalat Shabbat on page 294 with Mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah v'yalmad divrach chilutei v'yamlik malchutei v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael v'agala v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach l'olam l'omei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yitalev v'yithalal shmei v'kusha brichu. Le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushluchata v'nechamata v'amiram v'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. We're going to begin the evening service for Shabbat. Arvit, the evening service, begins on page 146 with Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Page on 147, let's read responsibly. No, let's read together. Let's read together on 147 in the English. Adonai, your majesty is proclaimed by the marvels of earth and sky. Sun, moon, and stars testify to your power and wisdom. Day follows day in endless succession, and the years vanish, but your sovereignty endures. Though all things pass, let not your glory depart from us. Help us to become co-workers with you and endow our fleeting days with abiding worth. Baruch atah Adonai ha'ma'ari b'rabim. Page 148. Ahavat olam beit Yisrael amcha habta Torah u'mitzvot hukim u'mishpatim otanu limadeta al kein Adonai Eloheinu v'shofreinu uvkumeinu nasiach bechukecha v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha u'b'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed. Ki heim chayenu v'yorech yameinu v'yorech yameinu u'bahem nege yomam v'layla yomam v'layla ve'ahavat tichalta shemimenu li'lamim Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, b'chol levacha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol yodecha, v'hayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom ha'levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'beitecha u'vlektecha b'derech u'v'shochtecha u'vkumecha וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Page 151, let's read responsibly in the English. We worship the power that unites the universe, a promise of harmony for all.
Yet that oneness eludes our grasp as imperfection and evil abound.
Before our eyes, there's a vision of perfection, order, and goodness.
There is evil enough to break the heart, there is good enough to exalt the soul.
When will redemption come?
When we grant everyone what we claim for ourselves.
Long ago, we escaped the tyranny of Egypt. Our people saw the power of the Most High.
We learned God's presence redeems time and event, so we celebrate this power that makes for freedom.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar ba'kodesh, nohora tehilot osefele, malchutecha ra'u banecha, bokeyam lifnei Moshe, zeli anu v'amruhu. Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed, v'nemar kifad Adonai et Yaakov, u'ga'alo mi'ad chazak mimenu, baruch atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael. Top of page 153, Hashkivenu, the top two lines, and then we'll read together in English. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'ha'amidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'ha'amidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Give us a place to rest, O God. Shelter us in the long, soft evening shadows of your truth. You are true protection and safety. In your presence we find love and acceptance. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim. Top of 154, Vishamru, traditionally for Shabbat evenings and Shabbat mornings, taken from the book of Exodus towards the end, in chapter 31 or so. Somewhere around 31. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, לדורותם ברית העולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית העולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית העולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים v'et haaretz v'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. We're at the centerpiece of the evening service, actually the centerpiece of all of our services, the Amidah, and we'll be chanting together 155, 156, and 157, after which we'll go silent for a while, and you can finish your Amidah either reading the Hebrew, reading the English, or offering up your own meditative prayer at this time. But we'll begin together on 155. Adonai sifatai tiftach uvi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai sifatai tiftach uvi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rakel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor, V'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei HaKol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot, U'Mevi Goel Livnei V'neihem, Leman Shemo V'Ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magin, Baruch atah Adonai, Magin Avraham, V'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechaye Metim Atarab Lahoshia, Mashi Paruach, U'Morid Hagashem, Mechakel Chaim V'Chesed, Mechaye Metim V'Rachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim V'Rofeh Cholim, U'Matir Asurim, U'Mekayem Emunato L'Shenei Afar, Michamocha Ba'al Giburo, U'Midom Melach, Melech Meimid U'Machayeh, U'Matzmiach Yeshua, V'Ne'eman Atah L'Chayo Meitim, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechayeh HaMeitim. Still completing your Amidah, please continue at your own pace. We're going to continue in the English on page 160, reading the middle paragraph together. In these hours of rest and renewal, open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may we live in such a way that this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. Page 163, a little bit of hoda'ah, a little bit of gratitude and thanksgiving. Grateful for this past day, an absolutely beautiful, beautiful winter day, and I enjoyed being outside as much as I could today. So page 163 at the top, let's read responsively. For the good in us, which calls us to a better life, we give thanks.
For the strength to improve the world with our hearts and our hands, we offer praise.
For the desire in which us leads us to work for peace, we are grateful.
For life and nature, harmony and beauty, for the hope of tomorrow, all praise to the source of being.
All right, and we will close out on 164, close out the Amidah, that is, with the prayer for peace. Shalom Rav. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon, lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon, lechol hashalom. Shalom Rahav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rahav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Etov be'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'chol eit u'b'chol sha'ah b'shlomecha. Shalom Rahav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rahav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Praise to you, Adonai, who blesses your people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamivorech et amo Yisrael, b'shalom. Jump ahead to the middle of page 253 for the Mishaberach. Mishaberach Avotenu Mekor habracha le'imotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach imotenu mekor habracha la'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Turn to the prayers for our community, pages 258 and 259. Source of all being, may the children of this community learn these passions from us: love of Torah, devotion and prayer, and support of the needy. May we guide with integrity, and may our leadership be in your service. May those who teach and nourish us be blessed with satisfaction, and may we appreciate their time and their devotion. Bless us with the fruits of wisdom and understanding, and may our efforts bring fulfillment and joy. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otecha levadcha b'yirah na'avod. Thus says Adonai, this is what I desire, to unlock the fetters of wickedness and untie the cords of lawlessness, to let the oppressed go free, to break off every yoke. Share your bread with the hungry and take the wretched poor into your home. When you see the naked, give clothing, and do not ignore your own kin. If you banish the yoke from your midst, the menacing hand, the evil speech, if you offer compassion to the hungry and satisfy the famished creature, then your light shall shine in darkness. Sha'alu shalom Yerushalayim, yishlayu ohavayich. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. May those who love you prosper. Avinu Shabashamayim, Tzur Yisrael v'go'alo, Ba'arech et Medinat Yisrael, Reishit Tzmichat Geulatenu. Hagen Aleha b'yavrat chasdecha, Ufros Aleha sukat shlomecha, Ushlach orcha v'amitecha l'rosheha sareha v'yoetzeha. V'taknein v'eitza tova milfanecha, v'natata shalom ba'aretz, v'simchat olam v'yoshveha, v'nomar Amen. O Heavenly One, protector and redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love, spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there. Amen. All right, friends, Shabbat Shalom and good Shabbos. This week, Parshat Yitro. Again, one of the big show-stopping parshiot in the Torah. 2 weeks ago, it was Parshat Bo, where our ancestors were freed from Egypt. Last week, it was Parshat Beshalach, in which our ancestors walked across the Sea of Reeds on dry land. And this week, Parshat Yitro, we get the Ten Commandments, the Aseret HaDibrot. But there's a lot more going on in this one. Parshat Yitro is named after Yitro, often seen in translation as Jethro. And anytime I see Jethro, I think of Max Baer in the Beverly Hillbillies. So I don't like Yitro. His name is Yitro, not Jethro. He is Moses' father-in-law, and he is a Midianite priest, which means he's an outsider. He's not part of the group. But he is coming to see Moshe because he has heard that Moshe, through God, has freed the Israelites. And he's also bringing Moshe's wife, Zipporah, and his two sons, Gershom and Eliezer, to their camp. Before the big exodus out of Egypt, Moshe sent his wife and his kids to visit her father and the kid's grandfather, and so he is returning them. He hears about what God has done, and he offers a prayer. The first time in the Torah, the first time in the Bible where we hear the words Baruch Adonai. And so that's, of course, you know that from all of our prayers that they start off Baruch Atah Adonai, but he says Baruch Adonai, and he is the first to use this form. The next day, after he gets up, he's watching as large numbers of people bring their disputes to Moshe. All right, so Moshe would get up early in the morning and he would sit outside his tent and people would bring their disputes to him. And of course, you know, any kind of community, there's always going to be disputes. So Moshe sat there all day listening to the complaints. And the people stood in line all day waiting to get to Moshe. And Yitro looks at this and says to Moshe, you're doing it all wrong. This is just going to burn you out. This is going to anger the people even more. Here's what you do. You should not be the only one hearing these cases. You should appoint judges, wise men, who will listen to these smaller disputes, and you yourself will hear the larger disputes, the more important disputes. And that way, you won't be sitting here all day, and the people won't be waiting for you all day. Set up this system of judges. And so Moshe takes his advice. The minor cases go to others, and he listens to the major cases, and this becomes, believe it or not, the setup for our judicial system in the Torah. Moshe at the head, as if he was the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, and then he assigned other judges or justices or people to hear other cases. And when Yitro is done saving Moshe's sanity, he heads back to Midian. He goes back home. 3 months later, we jump ahead 3 months later, and Moshe leads the people to Har Sinai, to Mount Sinai. And there God explains the covenant, that we are to be a kingdom of priests and a holy people. And our ancestors had responded, all that God has spoken, we will do. 3 days later, the people look up and it seems like the mountain is on fire. Smoke is rising from the top. They hear shofar blasts. The people are frightened and they say to Moshe, you go and do this. This is a little too much for us right now. So he goes up to the mountain and he is given he is given the Ten Commandments. And that is basically this week's Parsha in a nutshell. There are 17 mitzvot, 3 positive and 14 negative, right? 3 things we're supposed to do, 14 things we're not supposed to do. And it's easy to remember, there are 10 in the 10 Commandments. And so just an extra 7 added on. Parshat Yitro. Well, friends, last week I had a very, very nice Shabbat. Friday night we had a minyan here, and it was the first time at shul since I got here that we've had a minyan on a Friday night. Shabbat morning was pleasant, and I spent the afternoon reading and dozing off, and towards the end of Shabbat, noodling a little bit on my guitar. Because I don't spend time online or watching the news on Shabbat, I was unprepared for what awaited me after Shabbat. When I first started to hear and read about the hostage situation at the synagogue in Texas, I thought I had misread. Hostages in a Texas synagogue? How can this be? As I caught up with the information, my heart sank. Not again. Not another Pittsburgh. Not another example of bloodshed. Once again, a synagogue was targeted, and our brothers and sisters were once again placed in great risk. And for what? Because we happen to be gathered on our holiest day, doing what we do every Shabbat? People know where to find us. Separating what was really happening from the noise surrounding the event proved difficult. Conflicting reports battled each other for clicks on the internet. Ultimately, the crisis was resolved. The members of Beth Israel Synagogue and their rabbi were safe, and the hostage taker dead. Or as one news report read, neutralized. I spent time this week reading articles and speaking with friends and colleagues about what happened. And many of us were not surprised that it happened again. Some were surprised at the way the media handled it. It was almost a non-issue in a lot of ways. One friend noted that the New York Times didn't even have the crisis as Sunday's headline. Another was concerned that many of her non-Jewish colleagues, people with whom she worked closely in interfaith work, were silent. They had not reached out. One colleague wrote on his Facebook page that, well, he was relieved that the hostages were physically unharmed. He was upset that people seemed not to care that the terrorist was killed. He suggested perhaps that the FBI was too quick to use deadly force and an investigation should ensue. To be honest, I didn't read any more of his post, as it was clear to me that he was turning the terrorist into a victim. This week, I spent a great deal of time thinking about anti-Semitism, particularly the rise of it here in America. To be honest, as paranoid as I am, I'm not the kind of person who sees an anti-Semite under every rock or around every corner. I do not believe that every Trump supporter hates Jews. I do not believe that every Republican or conservative is anti-Semitic. I don't believe that the Democrats are anti-Semitic or the far left are anti-Semitic. I do not believe that people who disagree with me or have a different viewpoint are secret Jew haters. However, I do know there are anti-Semites and that anti-Semitism is real. At its core, anti-Semitism is fundamentally different from all other types of hate. While stereotyping, discrimination, and otherizing, marginalizing, all contribute to anti-Semitism, the core, the central belief is the notion of a poisonous and secretive Jewish power and control. From the Middle Ages forward to the present day, we are portrayed by anti-Semites as controlling, as influencing world events for our own gain. We control the banks. We control Hollywood. We even control the climate. We are behind COVID. We created the microchips in the vaccines. And we have space lasers. Some of the claims are so ridiculous that we are tempted to ignore them or laugh at them. However, we ignore them at our own peril. Because of the polarization of our country and the fact that many people only read or listen to things with which they agree, a fertile breeding ground for anti-Semitism exists. Ignorance of things outside your echo chamber is the way of the land right now. And we saw this played out in Texas last week. The terrorists believe that Jews have such power that if he could only get to a synagogue and have them call the chief rabbi of America on the phone, that he would get what he wanted. The statement, the Jews control the country, isn't so funny now. Less than a week later, just a few days later, a U.S. congressperson looked at a group of Jews at the Capitol in Washington and asked if they were doing reconnaissance. Later, the representative said she was too short to see that they were wearing yarmulkes. While it may be easy to ignore this incident, a seed was planted by the use of the word reconnaissance, a military term for exploring beyond the area occupied by friendly forces to gain vital information about the enemy. Once again, Jews are dangerous. We cannot, we must not allow such comments to go unchallenged. It's up to us to stand up. We have been weak before, but we are no longer weak. We used to live outside of society, and now we are part of society. Yes, some of the comments, not every comment is anti-Semitic, but I've heard more anti-Semitism coming out of Washington in the last 4 years than I've heard in my 40 years of being interested in politics before that. Space lasers causing the California wildfires. Yes, one half of the country thinks that's absolutely ridiculous and should be laughed at. The other half of the country, she's right, those Jews. Jews doing reconnaissance in the Capitol. Are we going to overthrow the government? Are we going to try to overthrow the government? Some people want to laugh. It's ridiculous. She's nobody, the one who said this. The other half, that listens to her, those Jews, they're at it again. We need to stop it. We need to say no more. This is not right. We need to call our congresspeople, our senators, our representatives, our governors, and say, you need to make sure this stops. You need to speak out. And if they don't, we know where they stand. No more. We say never again, and then we look the other way. No more. I'm tired of hearing it. I'm tired of just watching people laugh it off. Anti-Semitism is pervasive and it's lethal. It can come from the right. It can come from the left. It can come from majority communities, and it can come from minority communities. Our task is to stand up to it, no matter the source. Shabbat Shalom and good Shabbos. All right, Kiddush time. Kiddush time. Yeah, Mari's not here. Who's gonna hand out the wine? We got Judy handing out the wine. Kiddush time.
For you and me.
They're loading up on the Kiddush wine. There's extra cups and there's Vayehi erev vayehi boker yom hashishi vayafulu hashamayim v'haaretz v'chol tzivam vayachal Elohim bayom hashvi melachto asher asa vayishvot bayom hashvi mikol melachto asher asa vayavarech Elohim et yom hashvi'i vayikadesh oto Kivo shavat mikol melachto asher bara Elohim la'asot. Savri, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu. V'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon inchilanu zikaron lema'aseh bereshit ki hu yom techila lamikra'ei kodesh zecher l'tziyat mitzrayim ki banu b'charta v'tanu kidashta Mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha v'ahava uvratzon inchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh HaShabbat. All right, we'll start closing out our service. Page 282, Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon ha'kol, la'teit gedula liotzer reshit, shelo asanu k'goyei haratzot, V'lo samanu k'mishpachot adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamodam. V'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech malchei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu. Shehu noteh shamayim v'yoser haaretz, u'moshav yikaro v'shamayim imahal, u'shlinatu zo, b'gohei meromim, u'Eloheinu einot, kemet malkeinu efes ulato, kakatu b'torato, V'yadata hayom v'hashevota el levavecha, ki Adonai hu Elohim, Bashamayim imal, v'aretz mitachat eino. ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו echad. This week we observed the following yard sites: Anna Elderman, relative of Ida Strauss; Louis Mazo, brother of Selma Mazo Jacobson, uncle of Steve Jacobson, and great uncle of Paul Jacobson; Sheldon Levine, son of Milton and Ethel, Regina's father; Mary Emmett Milligan, Tamara Murphy's maternal grandmother; Hoyt Lee Williams, late husband of Judy Lentz; Israel Lazarus, relative of May; Lillian Island, wife of Ted; Ray Y. Rubin, Janet Baker's mother; Evelyn Brown Silverman, daughter of Bessie Brown; Anna Footlick, Betty Colker's maternal grandmother; Mordecai Witcher, Rabbi Witcher's father. May their souls be bound up in the bond of life eternal. May their memories be a blessing to us always, and may they all rest in peace. Mourner's Cottage, page 294. Yitkadal v'yitkadash Shnei Rabbah, v'alma tivrach Yeruteh, v'amlit malchuteh, v'chayechon v'yomechon, u'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, v'agala v'zman kariv v'yimru, amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah mevorach l'olam l'omei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shmei d'Kudusha Brechu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, da'amiram v'alma v'yimru, amen. Yehi Shlama Rabba min Shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru, amen. All right, friends, we are almost finished with our Friday night service. Just a couple more things, just a couple of announcements too. Tomorrow morning, we'll be right back here at 10 a.m. And we are open. So if you have a mask and you are vaccinated, you're welcome. You can come by. Sunday morning, 9 a.m. we'll be here. No adult ed this week. We're picking up in the beginning of February. And I think the class on the docket is Who Wrote the Torah, which I've always wondered. So let's see if we can solve that mystery during adult ed in February. That's Monday night. We'll have our deep dive into Genesis. We are pretty much out of the Cain and Abel story. We're going to wrap up the story of Adam and Eve, or Adam and Chava, and start moving towards the story of Noah, which is a very, very deep story and a lot to pick up there. So please feel free to sign in if you haven't. And if you have signed in, Monday night, 6:30, Suzanne's waiting. She's always got good answers and questions. So that's Tuesday, Monday. Wednesday is Yiddish choir, and then we're back on Friday night. Anything to add? No? Nope.
That's it.
That's it. Quiet time of the year. Pesach, a little over 3 months away, a little under 3 months away. Start panicking now. I have. I haven't. It's not even porn. All right, let's close out on 321. Adon Olam. Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Li'et Nasa B'chefzo Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra B'yacharei Kiflot HaKol Levado Imloch Nohora Vehu Haya Vehu Hoveh Vehu Yeh Batifara Vehu Echad V'Ein Sheni Laham Shelo Lahachbira V'li Reishit V'li Tachlit V'lo Ha'oz V'Hamisra Vehu Eli V'Chai Goali V'Tzur Chevli V'Yitzhara Vehu Nisi Umanosli Menat Kosi Biyom Ekra Biyado Akid Ruchi V'Eti Shan Biyahira V'Im Ruchi Gviyati Adonai Li V'Lo Ira. All right, looks like some people are saying hello to us via the interwebs. Oh, looks like there's a nice group tonight. All right, we have Kyle Swan, good Shabbos, thank you. Melanie Samuels, good Shabbos to all, either in Huntington or online. Thank you, Melanie. Melanie is reaching out from the holy city of Brooklyn. Jenny Bro, wishing everyone a peaceful Shabbat. Thank you, Jenny. Same to you. That's Mom. Shabbat Shalom to and from, Shabbat Shalom to all from Rabbi's Mom and Cliff. Thanks, Mom and Cliff. Stay warm and stay safe in this cold spell. You got it. ML and Herman Glazer, wishing all a good, safe, and warm Shabbat and a week of peace. Thank you, ML and Herman. And Diane Shaddles, Shabbat Shalom and good Shabbos from Diane and Steve. Stay warm and safe. Thank you, Diane and Steve. Same to you. All right, friends, everybody have a great Shabbat, a Shabbat Shalom, a good Shabbos. Be safe out there, and we'll see you soon.